Are you over 60 years old and living alone? And have you ever quietly wondered what would happen if your chest tightened, your breath shortened, and no one else was there? I'm Dr. James, and I want to gently walk you through that moment. Because for many older adults, this fear isn't just imaginary. It's a real possibility. Researchers show that most fatal heart attacks after 60 happen at home, often before emergency help can even arrive. But here's the truth that brings me hope. You don't need someone else in the room to save your life. You need knowledge, calm, and a plan. In this video, I'll show you 7 simple, life-saving steps you can take alone. Even if you're scared, even if you've never faced this before. These aren't complicated medical procedures. They're quiet, human actions. Actions that might give your heart a fighting chance. We'll walk through each one gently. How to recognize the early signs, what to do first, and what small decisions might open the door to survival. You won't need equipment. You won't need strength. You'll just need to be present. So take a breath, stay with me, and let's begin. Because aging should never mean silence, shame, or surrender. And your life is still worth protecting. Before we begin, I would appreciate it if you like this video. It helps me continue sharing these healing truths about growing older with strength, peace, and positive energy. And if you haven't already, subscribe and stay with me until the end. One of these steps might one day save a life. You might think heart attacks always begin the way they do in movies. A dramatic collapse, a sudden clutching of the chest, a cry for help. But real life is much quieter than that, especially for people over 60 years old. The truth is, most heart attacks don't start with panic. They start with something you could easily ignore. A tightness, a strange breath, a whisper from the body. And in that moment, recognizing what's happening is the first, and maybe only, real chance you have to change what happens next. Tip number 1. Know the early signs, even when they don't feel like a heart attack. Sometimes it shows up as pressure in the chest. Not sharp pain, but a kind of heaviness, like someone placed a warm stone in the center of your body. Other times, it's not in the chest at all. It might be in your back, your jaw, your shoulder, or in a strange shortness of breath that makes no sense. Maybe you feel lightheaded or break into a cold sweat for no reason. Maybe it feels like heartburn. Maybe it just feels off. Researchers show that in older adults, heart attacks are more likely to come with these atypical signs, symptoms that don't follow the rules we were taught to expect. They come and go. They don't always hurt, but they matter. Richard, 74 years old, a retired history teacher, was sitting at his kitchen table one morning when it began. A strange, dense feeling under his collarbone. No pain, no drama. But it was there, and it would not go away. He tried to take a deep breath. It felt shallow. Then he noticed his palms were sweating. That's when something in him said, "Pay attention." He picked up the phone and called for help. Paramedics arrived and confirmed he was having a heart attack. Because he acted early, his heart kept beating strong. And today, he still walks his dog every morning, just like he always did. The body does not scream at first. It speaks softly. That quiet pressure, that subtle shift, might be the only warning you get. And if you are over 60 years old, those small signs deserve your full attention, because the real danger is not feeling something, it's ignoring it. Recognizing the signs is a powerful first step. But it is only the beginning. What you do in the next few minutes can either open the door to survival or quietly close it. And this is where many people make the mistake that costs them everything. Because when fear rises, it is natural to want reassurance, to call a loved one, to wait and see if the feeling passes. But when it comes to the heart, waiting is what does the harm. The moment something feels wrong, the decision must be immediate and clear. Tip number 2, call 911 before you call anyone else. Even if you are not sure it is a heart attack, the safest thing you can do is make that call. Researchers show that the longer the heart muscle is deprived of oxygen, the more damage it suffers. And most fatal outcomes happen before a patient ever reaches the hospital. Emergency responders are trained for this. When you call 911, the team is already preparing as they drive to you, with equipment, medication, and the skill to keep you alive even if your condition worsens on the way. Driving yourself is one of the most dangerous things you can do. Your symptoms could change quickly, you could pass out, you could crash and never reach the care you need. There is no shame in asking for help. In fact, it is the most courageous thing you can do. Linda, 78 years old, was folding laundry when it began. A dull ache rising in her shoulder, then creeping toward her jaw. Then came the cold sweat. She held her phone in her hand and stared at the screen. Her first instinct was to call her son. But a voice echoed in her memory. Something a nurse once told her. Call 911 first. Talk to your family later. She pressed the numbers. Within minutes, the ambulance was on its way. By the time it arrived, Linda could barely sit up, but the team was ready. They stabilized her heart right there in her living room. Her son arrived at the hospital a few hours later, and he still had a mother to hug. You do not have to be certain it is a heart attack to call for help. You only have to believe that your life is worth protecting. Let the professionals come to you. Let them carry what you no longer can. Because calling for help is not overreacting. It is choosing to live. Once you have made the call, your heart is no longer alone. Help is coming. But those next few minutes still belong to you. And what you do with them can make the difference between a heart that recovers and a heart that begins to fail. There is no need for complex equipment or medical training. What your heart needs now is something small, something familiar, and something most people overlook in a drawer until it is too late. Tip number 3. Chew a regular aspirin. Slowly, calmly. Aspirin works by thinning the blood. And when a heart attack is happening, it is often because a clot is blocking one of the arteries that feeds the heart muscle. By chewing a plain aspirin, not swallowing, not sipping with water, but slowly chewing, you allow the medicine to enter your bloodstream more quickly. That action alone can slow the growth of the clot, restore a bit of blood flow, and protect the heart from deeper damage. It will not stop the heart attack, but it may give you the time you need. Joe, 72 years old, knew this. He had read something years ago in a small health booklet at his doctor's office. One morning, while getting dressed, he felt a tightness begin to build in his chest. A steady weight. Not pain, just pressure. He called 911, then remembered that bottle of aspirin tucked inside the kitchen drawer. He walked there slowly, took one out, and chewed it as calmly as he could. The taste was bitter, but he felt something shift. When the paramedics arrived, they told him that simple act likely kept the heart damage minimal. His cardiologist later called it a tiny miracle in pill form. If you are not allergic to aspirin and your doctor has not told you to avoid it, keep a few regular uncoated tablets in a place you can reach easily: your nightstand, your wallet, your coat pocket. Do not rely on coated or delayed release pills if you can avoid them, and never wait until your stomach is full. In this moment, time is more important than comfort. Sometimes the most powerful tool in a crisis is the one you almost forgot you had, sitting silently in the drawer, waiting to save your life. You have called for help, and you have given your heart a little more time with that small white pill. Now comes a moment where many people make another mistake. They try to stay active, thinking they should prepare for the ambulance, clean up the space, or walk around to stay alert. But what your heart needs now is not motion. It is mercy. Stillness in this moment is not weakness. It is survival. Tip number 4. Sit down, lie back. Do not be a hero. Even small movements, standing, pacing, reaching for a blanket, can raise your heart's oxygen demand. And when the heart is already under stress, that extra demand can tip it into a more dangerous rhythm. The most important thing now is to keep your body calm and quiet, so your heart can use every bit of energy just to keep beating. If you can sit, choose a chair with a supportive back. Let your feet rest flat on the ground. Let your hands fall naturally by your side or on your lap. If you begin to feel faint or dizzy, lie down gently on your side, with your head slightly raised. Keep your breathing steady. Do not try to be productive. Do not try to get ready. You have already done what matters most. You asked for help. Now let your body wait in peace. Alice, 81 years old, was rinsing dishes when she felt the pressure tighten across her chest. Her first instinct was to finish cleaning, to tidy the kitchen before calling anyone. But then she remembered something her doctor had once told her. If you feel anything in your chest, stop what you are doing. Sit down. Everything else can wait. And so, she left the sink as it was and lowered herself into her favorite recliner. She called for help and stayed still. When the ambulance arrived, the EMT said her heart was unstable, but holding. That moment of rest, they told her, might have saved her from a full cardiac arrest. There is no medal for pushing through a heart attack. There is no reward for finishing the chores before you call for help. What your heart needs now is not strength, but surrender. Not effort, but ease. Sitting down is not giving up. It is choosing to live another day. You are sitting now. Your breath is steady, your body is still, and help is on the way. But there is one more act. Small, quiet, often forgotten. That could give your rescuers the few extra seconds they need to save your life. It is not about medicine or breathing or symptoms. It is about the space around you. Because when help arrives, the last thing standing between you and survival should never be a locked door. Tip number 5, unlock the door, so help can reach you without delay. In the urgency of a heart attack, even 30 seconds can matter. And if paramedics have to waste that time forcing entry, breaking down a door, or calling dispatch to get past a locked gate, that delay could be the moment your heart cannot wait any longer. Yes, emergency responders are trained to break in, but it takes time, causes damage, and could even hurt you if you are near the entrance. Paul, 76 years old, lived in a cozy condo with a heavy front door. One morning, he felt a dull pressure rising in his chest while making toast. It built slowly, but something told him it was serious. He called 911, chewed an aspirin, and then, carefully, without rushing, walked to the door and unlocked it. Then he sat down and waited. When the paramedics arrived, they came straight in. Later, one of them told him, "That saved us at least 30 seconds. That may not sound like much, but in this job, it is everything. If you live alone, take a moment now, not during an emergency, to think it through. Is your address clearly visible? Is the door easy to unlock from the inside? Do you have a spare key somewhere accessible?" Some people install a smart lock or a lockbox outside their door, just in case. This small act is not for you. It is for the people racing toward you. It is your way of saying, "I'm ready. Come in. I want to live." And sometimes that unlocked door is the very first sign that you have already chosen to survive. Now that the door is open and your body is resting, the silence around you might feel heavier. But even in that silence, there is one more tool you still have, one that many people carry in their hand every day without realizing its full power. It is not just for calling. In moments like this, it can speak for you, protect you, and connect you to the help you need, even if you cannot speak a word. Tip number 6, use your phone's speaker and medical ID. Let it speak when you cannot. The first thing to do after calling 911 is to turn on speakerphone. Holding the phone to your ear may seem harmless, but when your chest feels tight and your breath is shallow, even that effort can make things harder. By using speaker, you can keep the phone near you without straining. It also lets the dispatcher hear more than just your voice. They can hear your breathing, the sounds in the room, and subtle changes in your condition, even if you are too weak to explain them. But the true power of your phone goes even deeper. On every smartphone, iPhone or Android, there is a feature called Medical ID. It allows you to enter important information: your age, allergies, medications, health conditions, and emergency contacts. And the best part? It can be accessed from the lock screen, even if you are unconscious. Susan, 79 years old, had filled out her medical ID years ago, at her daughter's suggestion. One afternoon, while sitting on her porch, she collapsed before she could make a call. When paramedics arrived, they used her phone to find her medical ID. They saw she was allergic to penicillin and diabetic. They avoided a medication that could have harmed her, and contacted her daughter within minutes. Susan woke up in the hospital hours later, safe. If you have never set up your medical ID, take 5 minutes to do it today. Add your name, birthday, medications, and a loved one's phone number. It may feel like a small task, but in the quiet space between crisis and care, it can speak on your behalf, with no voice needed. And in that silence, your phone might be the only thing standing between confusion and clarity, between delay and action, between fear and rescue. You have used your phone, your mind is focused, your body is still. Help is on the way. But in these final minutes, the ones that feel like hours, there is one more tool left. And this one has been with you since the day you were born. You do not have to reach for it. You do not need instructions. You just need to return to it. Because when your heart begins to race and fear clouds your thoughts, your breath is the one steady thing you can control. Tip number 7, slow your breathing. It might be the one thing that saves you. When panic rises, your breathing becomes fast and shallow. And that puts more strain on a heart that is already in distress. But if you can slow it, even a little, you help your entire system calm down. You lower your blood pressure. You reduce the stress chemicals flooding your bloodstream. You make it easier for your heart to keep beating with rhythm and clarity. It will not stop the heart attack, but it may keep things from getting worse. Just try this. Inhale slowly through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold gently. Then exhale through your mouth for 6 seconds. Do it again and again. Let every breath be its own small circle. No judgment, no pressure, just a quiet rhythm inside the chaos. Frank, 83 years old, remembered this practice from a cardiac rehab class he took a few years back. When the chest pressure started and the fear took hold, he felt his fingers tremble and his throat tighten. He had already called for help. He had taken his aspirin. But the panic was rising like a wave. So he sat in his chair, closed his eyes, and began to breathe. 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out, again and again. By the time paramedics arrived, his heart was still unstable, but not failing. His breath had carried him through. When everything else feels out of control, your pain, your pulse, your thoughts, your breath remains. It is not a cure, but it is a companion. And in those final moments before help arrives, that might be the one thing that keeps you here. One breath at a time, one heartbeat at a time, just long enough to stay alive. So now we return to the question that quietly started all of this. What would you do if a heart attack struck and you were completely alone? For many people over 60 years old, especially those living by themselves, that question has lingered silently in the background of daily life. But now you carry something you did not have before: a map through the fear. You know how to recognize the early signs, how to call for help without hesitation, how to chew that aspirin and protect your heart, how to be still, unlock the door, let your phone speak, and how to return to your breath when everything else feels like it is slipping away. These steps are not complicated, but they are powerful. And together, they form a quiet promise that even in the most frightening moments, you are not without options, you are not without control, and you are certainly not without hope. If this video helped you feel more prepared, more steady, more at peace, even just a little, I invite you to leave a comment and write Number 1. And if you have not yet, subscribe for more healing truths and positive energy. Because aging should never mean silence, shame, or surrender. See you in the next video.